Hey guys, how's it going? I started building a terrarium for my geckos. I had some melamine shelves laying around the house from when we were doing some renovations, and I decided to use them for this. It's almost 2 feet long across here, and from the inside of where I'm going to put the door to the back is about 13 inches. And I built a screen top, put a trim around the edge to make it look a little nicer, and the bottom has a space for a substrate heater. I'm gonna get started on some hides for it, and I'm gonna upload some detailed videos on how to do it, and I'll just keep on updating everybody as I go through the process of building this. I'll probably upload the videos in a few different installments as I get to different steps. So here you can see the styrofoam that I'm using. I cut out this space here for this moist box that's in with my 2 older female geckos, because they're going to be going in here until our Max Snow Raptor, who's right there, is large enough to live with them. Our Enigma, Tangerine Enigma, we're gonna leave her by herself because she likes to spin around when she's stressed out, and I don't want her to have to compete with our other geckos for food. But as you can see, this hide box fits in there. I'm gonna build a top so that it's completely hidden. It's got the door starting right there, and that's where their moist hide's going to be. I have started to draw out the base. That's how I plan out my piece. I cut it to size, and then I start cutting out my landscape, or drawing out my landscape the way I want it before I cut. That way I can have a pretty detailed plan and I don't make too many mistakes. So there's going to be a ramp coming up here and a door here, and I'm going to keep it whole the whole way through. The ground will be open around here, but the rest is going to have somewhat of a landscape that's raised up. So I'm going to start cutting, and you guys can see how I carve my hides. So I can demonstrate a bit of the carving. I wanted to show you all the X-Acto knives I use. This one's my favorite because it's got a nicer handle on it, and this blade's really good for cutting on angles and stuff like that. Like, I can come in from this kind of angle and shave off nice big layers with it. But it's good to have a set so that you can have a few different options. And I usually grab myself a larger knife to go with it as well. Okay, so now I'll show you how I do my carving. I usually take my pieces and I just get the knife on an angle and I kind of saw with it. And if you do it any other way, it kind of wrecks the styrofoam and you get lots of little chunks. And this way you get bigger chunks and it makes less of a mess. And it's a lot easier to carve precisely. So as you guys can see, I'm just shaving layer after layer. So while you're doing this, you want to be really careful, because I've cut myself pretty bad a few times. You know, you always want to be careful when you're using sharp tools, and just make sure you pay attention to what you're doing and don't try and take big hasty cuts. So guys, I'm not going to quite be able to show you guys a demonstration, but as you can see, I have a little bread knife through my styrofoam. I've been making the big land opening. The opening in between all my rocks that I'm going to be setting up. And you basically just, the way I do it is I saw very carefully through the board. You got to be careful because you can break the board, and if you break the board, the knife can go flying in any which way. But as long as you take your time and be really careful about it, it works. So once you finish with the bread knife or whichever other big knife you decide to use, and you pull a plug out of the space that you're cutting. You can take your X-Acto knife again and run around the edges, and it'll help make everything look a lot nicer. And I'm gonna do this same thing that I did here inside this area, and then I'll be making an entrance here with the knife, an entrance here, a ramp here up to another hide that's going to be covered. I'm going to have a second layer above everything, so you'll see that as we keep going. So here's the landscape back in the terrarium, starting to get carved up and looking a little more the way I want it. This is going to be a lower landing than the actual board is here. I'm going to bring this edge back to this line, and then as you can see, there's the ramp here. I'm starting to build a little cave there. There's going to be a nice hide in the back there. So just done for today, and I'm going to upload this video, and hopefully you guys can give me some good comments, maybe have some ideas for me to incorporate in this, or just tell me what you think. And check back next week for the next step in this project. Have a good one, guys.